Welcome to the Swim Swam podcast. I'm today's host, Coleman Hodges, and joining us today, she is a world champion both in long course and short course, and now most recently, she is a three-time Olympic champion and five-time Olympic medalist from the 2024 Paris Olympic Games. We are sitting down with Torri Huske. Torri, thanks so much for taking the time today. How's it going?
I'm good. Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
This episode of the Swim Swam podcast is sponsored by Commit Swimming, Swim Swam's exclusive team management software partner. Since 2015, Commit has been providing coaches with swimming's leading workout management software. And now, Commit has team management software too. Commit wants to help you make the switch from Team Unify to a simpler, more powerful solution. Their onboarding and customer service team will walk you through every step of the way. Check them out at commitswimming.com to book your demo today. That's COMMIT swimming.com. We were just talking, you just moved back in at Stanford. You're kind of getting your season rolling. How has it been I guess it's been about 6 weeks since Paris, 5 or 6 weeks. How has that time been for you?
It's been really fun, but it's definitely been really busy. The 2.5 weeks after Paris, I decided to travel a little bit and I wanted to sightsee. So we went around Paris a little bit and then we went to Spain and Barcelona afterwards. And then I went to London and I saw Taylor Swift, which was awesome. And then I was only home for like a week. It was also really busy there. And then then I came to school for preseason, just moved in yesterday. So that was a little bit hectic, like 5 girls trying to move into like a 6-man suite. So stuff was like everywhere, but it's been really fun just being back with the team.
Yeah. It sounds like a very fun vacation period and break. In terms of swimming, are you back in the pool yet?
Yeah, so I'm back in the pool now. We're still kind of getting into it a little bit more. We're like building up. But each day we do a little bit more. So yeah.
Did it feel like you got enough time away from the water before getting back in?
I think so. I think that my 2.5 week like Europe vacation was super fun, and it kind of was like the break I needed, even though it was exhausting at the same time. Just because like being a tourist is hard work. Like we're walking so much, and but it's really fun, and I think that I did get a good enough break where I feel like I'm ready to get back into it.
I feel like people don't talk about that enough, about how hard being a tourist is. Especially if you're on a vacation, if you're in a big city where you can walk. I think people I know talk about walking anywhere from 4 to 10 miles a day, just seeing the sights, going to museums, going to eat. That's like you stay pretty active even if you're not exercising, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think that I don't have like a monitor, like a wrist thing that like tracks my steps and stuff, but I bet it was definitely really high. It was not a relaxing vacation. It was like as many things as we could as quickly as possible, but it was awesome.
Yeah. Did you have favorites on your vacation aside from obviously Taylor Swift?
Yeah, so Taylor Swift was really fun. We also got to stay in the like countryside of like London, like an hour outside, because the woman who I was living with this year, her daughter lives in London, and they hosted us for a night, which was so awesome. And I got to meet her grandkids, which was really fun. And then Spain was really cool. I loved eating escargot. I had it like every single day after eating it for like a week. And then Barcelona was so amazing also because we were there at like the right time and place, and we just didn't even know there was a festival that was going on. And it only happens like for like a week each year, and we just happened to like be there when it was happening. So all these neighborhoods were competing against each other kind of, and they create these different like streets and like walkways in the neighborhood, and they were all themed different things, and there was like live music. So that was really cool to see.
Sounds perfect. That's tourist dream, right? That's so great. Especially I like vacations like that when you just kind of stumble upon things and you're not necessarily having set expectations, but then things work out and you get to experience these cool things that you didn't even know existed before.
Yeah, yeah, it was really awesome to just be kind of immersed in a new culture, so
Escargot every day. It was that good, huh?
I really love it. I mean, it just tastes, like, garlicky, so, um,
Oof.
yeah, you can't really go wrong with that.
I've never tried it, but now you sold me on it. Garlic is all I need. That it sounds good.
Mhm.
So in terms of the rest of your summer, uh, I guess just coming off of Olympic trials in Indianapolis, how are you feeling heading into what was going to be your second Olympic Games?
How was I feeling after oh, after
Sorry, yeah, after trials.
okay. Yeah, I was feeling very excited. I think that going in to the meet the second time, I felt like I had a lot more experience under my belt and I kind of knew what was going on. And I think that was very helpful. Like my first Olympics, I couldn't really see much past trials. Like my goal was to make the team. And like obviously once I made it, like I wasn't just complacent, but like I wanted to like do more and I wanted to medal. But I feel like the fact that I couldn't see much farther beyond that maybe affected me a little bit. And like this time when I made the team, like yes, I was super excited, but I feel like it was just one step in the process. Like I was like, I have a whole lot more that I want to achieve. Like this is just like part of the journey, but it's like a small part of it. So I think that going in, having that past experience under my belt was really helpful.
Yeah. No, I mean I've talked to a lot of athletes who have said it's nice, kind of knowing what to expect a little bit, and then just the next stage of or the next phase of that. You have staging camp in Raleigh, and then again in Croatia. How did those go for you, especially when you don't have a domestic training camp in those World Championship years? What's it like to have kind of two separate things for an Olympics?
Yeah, I thought it was really nice because Um, it's just nice to be in the US a little bit and, like, regroup before you, like, officially travel somewhere else for camp. So that was pretty fun. It's also nice just being in the States for the 4th because I feel like I haven't been the past few years very much, so that was kind of nice. And then, Croatia was amazing. I love Croatia and, like, training there. I don't think that there's a better place we could really be, like, we're so lucky that we get to do that, and they put us in such a nice hotel and it's it's really nice. I will say, like, just based off of, like, social media and stuff like that, it probably looks like a vacation, but it's still very much hard work. Like, I had to limit my time outdoors because I don't wanna, like it was really hot there, and I was like, "I don't wanna overeat and drain myself right before the meet," so I was, like, limiting my time outdoors and, like, trying to prioritize my recovery, but overall, like, there's no place I would rather be for camp, and it was so fun. As for, like, the actual training camp itself, the um, I I had some of the best practices I've ever had in my life there, which was kind of surprising because, like I said, it was really hot, and I think the water temperature of the pools was also kind of a little bit messed up, like, it was a little bit on the warmer side, and
Mhm.
I remember when we first got there and we were doing a recovery practice, like, I felt like I was gonna, like, pass out, and it was a recovery practice, and I was like, "I don't know how we're gonna do practices here and like be like suiting up in these sets and doing all that." But it ended up being fine and I ended up having, like I said, some of the best practices I've ever had. So that was a huge confidence boost going forward.
What is the facility like in Croatia? Is it just one pool, or are there multiple pools?
Pools. There's a short course meters pool and that one's like in a shadier spot, which is nice. And then there's
Mm.
like a long course one that's like directly in the sun. And then a cold tub by like during one of the sets with we would get out in between each like round and like submerge in the cold tub just because it was so hot and then jump back in. And then indoor pool, which is nice because it's protected from the sun, but
Mm.
there's no AC. It's like outdoors but with a cover.
Mhm. Interesting. What was the cold tub set like that you were getting out and in for?
I don't really remember it that well. I just remember being really hot and, like, running over the or the cold tub and then, like, shoving ice down my suit and, like, putting it in my cap in between. But, it actually ended up, pretty well. I mean, I think that I kind of like warmer water. Maybe I don't like it when I'm swimming in it, but I definitely like it for suited up sets for some reason because I think that for some reason it's really hard for me to get going when I'm suiting up in a set versus like a meet. And I think it's because I don't really get like warm enough, and this like
Mm.
helps get warm really quickly. And I think that was actually helpful.
That I mean, yeah, warm up quicker, get the
Yeah.
body hot quicker, go faster, and it seems like a simple equation. In terms of the actual training, I heard it was pretty hard.
Yeah, I mean, I think that training is like how it normally is. Like we didn't really change that much just because like it got me to trials and you don't want to be like changing stuff up right beforehand when it's working. So we kind of just stayed on our plan and what we've been doing the whole time. But I can tell you a little bit about the sets if you want some of the. Okay, I only remember
Sure.
them because we do them every single year. Well, this first one was 3 ones, and they're just on 2 minutes, and they're descend to all out. And these are suited up from a push, by the way.
Mm.
And the past like 3 years before Worlds, I think that I was pushing 55s. So I really wanted to push 54, and I did that for the first time. So that was really exciting. Um, and that was a little bit of a confidence boost for my freestyle. And then we did 100 fly set, and we do this throughout the year. And there's different amounts that we do, but I think it was 650s on 4 minutes fly. And these are suited up also from a push. And my average was almost a second better than like my previous best average. So I was really excited by that. And I think I was pushing all 26s, maybe, if that's right. I don't remember exactly. It might have been either 26s or 27s. And in the past, I had only like one 26 or 27, and that was like my average, and they were all under. So that was really exciting.
And those 50s are also just all out.
Yeah, they're all out, just suited up from a push. I did that with KB. So Catherine Bergen.
Uh, okay, okay, okay. Um, yeah, I was also curious. I mean, those sound like some really great suited sets, especially when you talk about the progression you've made from year to year. But then, just in terms of who you were training with, I'm guessing since your primary coach Greg was there, you were training with him coach wise. But yeah, did you get to swim with other athletes while you were there?
Yeah, I did, which was really fun. I think that, um, I mean, that's part of what makes the special is you get to train with people who you don't normally get to train with. I did an IM set, I remember in the domestic camp with Alex and Mariah, and then I don't remember who else was there, but I do remember doing it with them. And I did some sets with Catherine, and Greg was also taking care of Phoebe and Erica, so they were joining in on most of our sets, and we did also a few sets with like the Cowmen, so Keaton was swimming with us. So it was just fun to kind of swim with new people because we don't really get to do that often.
Right. Yeah, I assume just getting new training buddies for that portion of time adds to kind of the stimuli, and yeah, maybe adds a new dimension as you head into the Olympics. So then, in terms of traveling to Paris, what did you think of those first few days you were there in the Olympic Village and kind of getting used to the accommodations, the bus rides, the food, especially knowing that you were competing on day one?
Yeah. I think it was a little bit of an adjustment, but the Olympic Village is such a cool place, and it was really nice having Tokyo and having this one because I remember in Tokyo, the veterans would always apologize and be like, "I'm so sorry, like this is like so sorry this is your first experience." And like since I had nothing to compare it to, and like the other rookies didn't have anything to compare it to, we're all like, "Oh no, like this is great." But looking back on it, I think that we missed so much.
Hmm.
And really nice this time around having that full experience. I mean, like the like really little things that like having your parents there after your race or your friends that are actually like really big things make such a big difference. And also, I remember in Tokyo, they had the dividers in between each like chair because we had to like social distance. So you kind of had to like shout at each other, and it was like really hard to hear. So
Yeah.
a little bit was it was really fun. And I don't know. I mean, everyone talks about like how special the Olympics is because all the countries come together, and but it really is like really special. I remember walking into the dining hall for the first time this year and seeing all the flags lined up of all the different countries. And I mean, it is just like truly special how like sports can bring people together and the spirit of competition in the spirit of competition. So it was really nice to get that full experience this time.
Yeah. I mean, even watching from TV, like the fans alone seem to make such a big difference, especially having 17 or 18,000, rabid swim fans just in the stands, giving that energy back to the athletes. It's nice that we got a full Olympics like that, like you said.
Yeah, definitely.
So day one, you doubled, right? You
Yeah.
had two swims.
So day one, I doubled. I swam the 100 fly in the morning and then the 100 fly semi at night, and then also the 4x1 relay.
Big day. How did you plan for that, or how did you approach that day, knowing you have three swims, but also knowing you have a lot? It's a 9-day meet, and you had a big schedule at trials, but it didn't account for all the relays that you'd be doing.
Yeah, I think that we train so that I'm prepared for this. And mentally, I've done this before. Like, I remember 2022 Budapest, I think I was swimming almost every single day of that like 9 or 10 day, 8 day meet or however long. It was very similar. Like, it was similarly set up. So I felt like I've had this before and I was ready for it. But Greg always tells for like prelims, semis, and finals to have the mentality of good, better, best. And I kind of took that with me in the fly prelim, fly semi, and then into the relay, and then also into the final of the 100 fly. So I feel like knowing that like the first like prelim, I don't necessarily have to be at my best. Like all I have to do is like complete the swim. Was a little bit comforting, and I would get better as I like got into my groove throughout the meet. So that's kind of how I usually approach these meets.
Just touch with two hands, you're good. um, yeah. So that first night, obviously, your first final swim is that 400 free relay. How did you approach that relay? Obviously, knowing that the Australian women were pretty daunting, but also knowing that the U.S. women had a ton of momentum in that event specifically.
Yeah, I think that going into it, we really wanted to get the American record,
Mhm.
and we did that. So I just like to stay in my own race for the most part. And in the past, like with relays, I've gone really freaked out over sometimes it's like the other teams around me, or if it's just like myself and like the pressure of it. So I really was just like, I'm just gonna try to stay in my lane and swim my race how I need to swim it. So that's kind of just what I was focusing on.
Did that you split 52-0 on the third leg. You did get the American record. The women did get the American record. So congrats on that. Uh, how did you feel about that split, 52-06?
I was really excited with it because that was the first time I think that was the fastest I had ever gone up until that point. So I was like ecstatic that I've, you said 52 low, right?
Yeah. Let me double check. 52-06. Yeah.
My best time was at 52.9. So I was like so stoked that I went that in a relay.
Um, yeah, I mean, as swim fans, we all were. I mean, that is an historically exceptional split, and like I said, you were a big contributing factor to the silver medal you all won, breaking that record. Um, do you feel like you were able to carry that momentum into the next day's 100 fly final, especially going up against your teammate who is the world record holder in that event?
Yeah, definitely. I think it gave me a lot of confidence moving forward, not just in the 100 fly, but also in my 100 free and also in the other relays, especially since my relay start specifically has been such a weak point for me for so long. And I was like really nervous that I wasn't leading off the relay. Like last summer, as you know, I like completely flopped in the mixed 4x1 medley because I messed up my relay start. I like almost DQ'd the relay, so then I like kind of just fell in and then I freaked out and like spun it up and then just died very hard and like completely abandoned my race plan, which is never something you should do. Like it's never you should never do that when something goes in it. But I just like so it was kind of validation for me that like I can do a relay start and that I can do a good one. I think my reaction time was like pretty quick on it, if I remember. And then like later I was like, okay, I have to cool it maybe a little bit. But yeah, it was definitely very helpful going forward.
Is Do you think that mixed medley relay last summer was I mean, mistakes happen. We're humans. Do you think that was more of a mistake, or was that something that's like, oh, I need to fix this about my relay start, and I'm going to put an extra emphasis on this coming year?
I think it was a little bit of both because one, my relay starts have just been weak, but two,
Mm.
it was a mistake and it was kind of like a freak accident. And then just the way I handled it was very poor during the actual moment. But also, just in general, I think that I was maybe not as in shape as I wanted to be last summer just because I had a really tough spring quarter and I was just like so overloaded. I remember Greg was like, I felt like I couldn't push you the way I wanted to push you because you were coming to practice already really tired. So he kind of had to make an adjustment on his end and it was like totally reasonable. Like I don't think I could have like handled much more at the time, but I think it affected me in the summer. So even though last summer was like very tough mentally, after the meet, I think it was kind of a blessing in disguise. Like I didn't really understand at the time why it happened because it was honestly like embarrassing. But it's kind of what spurred my gap year decision. And I think it was one of the best decisions I've ever made because I had such a fun year and I was also able to prioritize my recovery. And it was just like I lived life at a slower pace. Like it was very relaxing and it definitely paid off in the end, I think.
I've talked to you a few times about your spring last year and then your summer and your gap year. And like every time it gets brought up, it stresses me out. It sounds like it was a lot school wise, athletically. I'm so glad that you were able to to slow the pace of life down for yourself. So and obviously it paid dividends from your results in Paris. Um, so yeah, glad that spring's over. So in terms of the 100 fly final, was there a certain way you wanted to execute that race? I think in the past we've seen. I think it's fair to say you're a racer,
Mhm.
and you seemed pretty primed. You've had a lot of international experience in that event specifically. You had a great swim at trials. Obviously, Gretchen broke the world record at trials. So just going into that race, knowing your opponent, how did you want to execute?
Yeah, I think that my number one thing was just like really sticking to my race and not getting like distracted by the people around me and also nailing my turns and underwaters and breakout. Like it's no secret, like Gretchen's underwaters are the best in the world. And I feel like we all have a lot to learn from her just in that department. Like it's amazing to watch. So I was like, I really have to make sure that I have really good underwaters during this race. And yeah, I was honestly just really excited to race. Like you said, Gretchen just had broke the world record at trials. She just set the Olympic record in semis. So I was just really excited to like race the best of the best. And um like honestly, like going into it, I think that most people think this way. Like, it's never like you think you like know you're gonna win. Like, I didn't know that at all. But like, I always believe that I can, and I believe that it's possible, and I'm not gonna like put limits on myself. So going into it, I like believed I could. Of course, I didn't know like one way or another, but I feel like if you believe that you can, I think that a lot of the time, like if you don't believe in yourself, honestly, I think the race is over. Like if you're like you don't have the confidence in yourself to perform, you're not going to. Like you're swimming a losing battle. So I think it's really important to always believe in yourself. But obviously I knew that it would be very difficult, but I was just really excited, honestly.
Yeah. We I think we did a preview podcast, and I think most of us chose you to win that race. And I think it's something you said earlier about experience, right? Like the Olympics is a whole different animal, and it's not that we didn't think Gretchen was going to perform, but once you've done something once, you do it again and you kind of know what to expect. You know how to handle yourself. And I think that coupled with the fact that you are such an intense racer, it gave swam a lot of confidence. But also knowing that you had won a world title 2 years prior, you won bronze the year prior with the spring you had, and then you had been fourth at your last Olympics. And I think that experience matters as well. Whereas Gretchen is just kind of coming into her own in long course. But when you touch the wall, you see that you're gold. You see that she's silver. Especially again, knowing that you had been fourth in this event 3 years ago in Tokyo. What was that like for you?
Yeah, it was very surreal. I touched the wall and first I saw the block light up. So I saw like the one light meaning light up meaning that I had won. And it was just very surreal. Like some people were like, "Oh, you look like super surprised." I wasn't necessarily like surprised. Like I said, I didn't know like the outcome, but like I did believe in myself. But it was just like I've never wanted something so bad in my life. And like the was finally happening to me, like I just I felt like my brain couldn't process it. Like I was so excited. I felt like I was gonna start hyperventilating. And see like Gretchen also gets second, like and like to have us Americans be like 1, 2, like the best in the world was just like unbeatable. Also, again, like I feel like I learn a lot from my like mistakes and like I think we learn more from them just in general because it shows us like what we need to change and what we need to do. But I'm honestly like now I can say like I'm so thankful for my experience in Tokyo. And even though getting fourth at the time was like absolutely heartbreaking, especially when it was only by 1/100th of a second, I think it made me that much grateful for this moment and for this win. I know that I wouldn't have appreciated it in the same way that I appreciated it this time around if I had won the first time because I feel like I didn't fully understand everything that goes into it, and I'm not talking about, like, the workload, but going into my first Olympics, I kinda just thought, like, "Oh, like, if I'm on Team USA, like, I'm medaling." Like, just because that's kind of the expectation that's put on us as Americans, like, everyone expects us to get gold, silver, bronze, but no one really talks about how hard that is, and I know that might seem like a no-brainer, but it is actually so difficult to get like gold, silver, bronze in the Olympics. Like you are like the top of the like you're the top like 3 best in the world. Like that is so incredibly difficult and that's such an amazing achievement. And I also feel like silvers and bronze are kind of overlooked sometimes. Um just like on the team I feel like not like the team itself, but just like maybe other viewers. But as proud as I was of my 100 fly, I think it was actually more proud of my 100 free and how I handled that race because I think that I've learned so much and I've finally figured out how to swim it. One of my friends was like joking, like, "Oh, there's no better way or like no better time to like figure out how to swim it than now." And I was really fortunate that I was finally figuring it out right then at the like best moment to do so. But I think that I was able to finally like focus on swimming my race and controlling myself on my first 50 because a lot of the times I would go out a little bit not too fast but too hard in my first 50 and like just trusting that I would have the back end speed to complete the race. Um, it was really nice to see that kind of pay off, not only the 100 free, but also the 100 fly. But I am really proud of that event too.
And I'm excited to talk a little bit about that, but I do want to recognize what you just said about under silvers and bronzes going underappreciated, and even making an Olympic final or making an Olympic semifinal. I hope I've been conscious of this. I hope members of the media and just, as you said, casual onlookers have gotten better this time around, this Olympic cycle, at appreciating each stepping stone or each accomplishment, right? Like making an Olympics is really hard.
Yeah.
Being the top 16 in the world is really hard. It's been very cool to debrief with some other Olympic athletes and talk about whatever they did end up accomplishing this summer in Paris, whether it was gold or silver or bronze,
Yeah.
Yeah. So I appreciate you saying that, because I think it is important to recognize each level of achievement, especially on a stage like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
So that 100 free, I don't think anyone in the world would have predicted that podium. It was certainly one of the most highly anticipated races of the competition. I think that session was the most exciting session of the competition, because you had both 100 frees, you had the Leon winning 2 gold medals in one session. It was like there was a lot happening.
Yeah.
But even a little before that, obviously you go through prelims and semis and finals of the 100 fly. You have the 400 free relay, and then you have one day off, and then 100 free prelim semis.
I think I did have a day off in between. Yes, I definitely had a day off in between my 100 fly and my 100 free. I remember because sleep the night after the 100 fly. Like I was so excited. I was just like lying in my bed being like, I can't believe that just happened. So I didn't get a lot of sleep that night. And I remember thinking like, thank God I don't have a race the next day, because honestly, I don't know how I would bounce back and like center myself again. So it was nice that I had a full like 24 hours to do so.
No kidding. Yeah, I don't know how anyone performs at a high level at an Olympics, because there's just so much emotion. There's so much going on, especially people who win multiple medals, like have one swim and then be like, okay, got to do that again. Because as you said, there's just like there's so many highs. So then you get to prelims and semis of the 100 freestyle. Do you feel like you were nailing your race strategy down as you moved through those and kind of getting a better feel for it, even from the feel you had established at trials for how you wanted to swim that race?
Yeah, I think that I was finally figuring it out. And honestly, what really helped me was in Croatia when I pushed that 54. Like Greg was like, okay, like I want you to like be a little bit more relaxed on the first 50 and like really work the second half. And that's what I did. And I was like, wow, that worked. The hard part is that it's very difficult to like trust yourself when that moment actually comes and like hold back a little bit, because like you just want to go. At least with me, that's how I am. Like I just like have like so much adrenaline and I'm just like so excited to race that it's like really hard for me to um like I feel like sometimes like I get in the mindset like, oh, like I have to like try really hard from like the very beginning and like go all out, but like you won't have as much at the end. I don't remember if this was in semis or prelims of the Olympics, but I worked my legs just way too hard on the first 25, and like I could like see it in the video. I was like, yeah, I was working too hard. And like even though the time I went in finals was like very similar, it was just a very different effort level, which is the other thing that I remember is that if I swim it the way I want to, the time will probably be the same. It's just that I'm swimming it way easier. So that's very helpful. But going into it, I think that it was really nice. Like I barely made finals. I was in the outside lane, so like no eyes were on me, which was kind of nice. I mean, I just like I knew like no one's really watching me, but like I was just really excited to like race the best of the best. Like Molly, Siobhan, Sarah, like they've been consistently at the top. I feel like pretty much every single like worlds. I feel like it was like always going back to three of them. So it was just I was just really excited to race everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. Heading into that final, how did you feel about the pool? We heard 2.15 meters deep. We heard it kind of got a little wavy. Up to that final, how
Mhm.
had you felt about just racing in that pool?
Yeah, honestly, I didn't notice a difference. I talked to
Mm,
some of them, think that they maybe noticed it just because they're like producing more waves, but I didn't notice it at all. So that's kind of nice.
nice. And like you said, you're in that outside lane where it's pretty low stakes. Does that also help you kind of stay in your own race?
I think honestly a little bit. I'm pretty sure also I was in the lane where I was breathing towards the wall on the first 50 possibly. And I remember being like, okay, like this is really good for me because now like I'm literally just focusing on myself. Like I only breathe towards my left in the 100 free and I'm like breathing every stroke, but like I knew like if I was seeing the like if I was facing the wall, like I couldn't see anyone. And I think that on the way down that was really like relaxing to me in a way just because I could really focus on myself and then the way back I could maybe see people, but that kind of if anything gets me going because I'm like really excited and I see like how close it is. So I think it was kind of a relief to be outside lane, seeing nothing.
Yeah. So then on the way back, were you excited? I mean, were you able to see everyone?
I honestly couldn't see that much. Sometimes it's just like a feeling,
Hmm.
you know what I mean? But I don't really remember much of the race. I feel like most of the races I do kind of like black out a little bit. Like I can't really remember what happened during it just because it's like you're like so in the moment.
Yeah.
But yes, I don't really people, but I probably did.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I think we hear that a lot from swimmers. I think the best races you don't remember too much, but 52.2, you got a silver medal. I mean, you said earlier you were almost more excited or proud of that one. Tell me about just the aftermath of the 5 or 10 or 15 minutes after realizing that you got a medal in that event.
Yeah, it was so great because I mean, to the rest of the world, maybe it seemed like really unexpected, but I really did like believe myself going into it. Um, but it was just nice to finally see all that hard work pay off. And especially when like I was posting really fast times in practice to finally see that like I could do it in a meet. And I think I've also been 52.9 for like the past 2 years now, maybe. So it was nice to finally have like a big drop and know that like there are probably other drops in my future if I'm still dropping that much time in that event. So I was just like very excited for everything that came with that event.
Yeah, 52 too. How do you feel about that time? I mean, that is huge.
Yeah, I was really excited. I was hoping to go like around the same time as that because like I normally split very similarly in my relays, even with like a relay start. So it was very exciting that I was able to go that fast.
No kidding. Yeah, I mean, again, one of the best races of the meet from my perspective. Yeah, and like so many cool narratives. I think you getting silver, again, not a surprise to you. I think it was just a little bit of a surprise for us. Shostrom getting her first Olympic gold in that event. Shaban getting her second bronze. Like, just yeah, that race really delivered. But congrats to you on on that second individual medal. Were you able to sleep better after that one?
Yeah, I was. I think that it was just like the first one getting gold was it was like the happiest moment of my life. That one I was definitely happier after that, but I think I was more proud of the 100 free. But
Mhm.
so like eventually ever topped that just like the emotions and like my path to get there uh, just made it so worth it.
Yeah. So then moving into the rest of the meet, I think there's 4 days left, and you still have a couple relays to go. How do you navigate the rest of the meet? And at any point in those last 4 days, were you starting to kind of just feel the effects of these emotional highs and this many races?
I mean, I think a little bit, but honestly, I think that Team USA is so good at supporting us that I didn't feel the fatigue necessarily that much. Like, I think that we kept really good energy going throughout the meet, and then also just physically, we have a great team of like massage therapists and everyone helping us. So they, in a way, like made it easy. Not easy, but they definitely lightened the load and took some weight off of my shoulders. But yeah,
Yeah.
they here.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that it's good to have a support staff throughout, especially. I mean, 9 days is so long, especially to be competing for most of those days at least. Um, so the mixed medley final, I think, I think who Team USA got some flack for their relay lineup in Tokyo for this event. Um, and I think we were all kind of, from our perspective, we were kind of crossing our fingers that they would go with the lineup that they ended up going with. Um, and which so they did. Um, how did you feel about anchoring that relay? Have you anchored many I'm sorry, USA relays in the past?
I don't know if I've ever anchored a USA relay, and I typically don't anchor even at school. I feel like you usually go first is I use or if it's like fly, I'm going third. So I don't remember the last time I've anchored a relay, so that was a lot of pressure. And I was a little bit worried about that, like going into it. But once the race started and I like saw our team and like how confident they all were, I think that really helped me. And also they did give me a lead, I think, going into it. And I was just like, I can't lose this for them. Like I'm not losing this for them. So I was just like super determined and focused and yeah, I just wanted to do it for them because they set me up so well for the race.
I'm always curious about this for relays over individual events. I feel like maybe individual events, it's a lot easier to focus on yourself and focus on your race plan. But then in a relay, I feel like a lot of the times that kind of goes out the window, especially because there's so many people around you behind the blocks. Did you try to execute that 100 freestyle the same way you did individually? And do you feel like you were able to do that?
Yeah, I think I was able to do that, and that was the goal. And honestly, I think for relay, it's easier to focus on your race because everyone's like going at different times. So it's like you can't really compare to other people. And I think that was a little bit helpful. Like I wasn't really looking around that much during it. But like I'm never like actively looking, but um I think that was honestly also a little bit helpful. But it was definitely also really stressful anchoring.
Well, you got it done. You're 51.8. You touched for gold. Um, was again, it's like you just kept leveling up throughout the meet. How did you feel about that 51.8 first time under 52?
Yeah, I was honestly shocked that like you said, I had never gone 51 before. Like I was barely under 53 as my best time, like going into this meet. So that was like shocking. Like I was so excited for that. But like I said, like the team just kind of like makes it easy, like knowing that they're performing their best and that I have them behind me. Like there's no team I would rather be on.
Um, first Olympic relay gold in
Hmm.
that for that mixed medley. Yeah, what was it? You obviously got to top the podium individually in that 100 fly. How was it topping the podium with Team USA?
Yeah, it was amazing. And also world record. I forgot about that. But I didn't even realize we got it until like I was like, walking away, and I was like next to Gretchen, and I was like, "Oh, we got the world record." And she was like, "Why do you think we were like freaking out so much? Like, why?" And I was like, "Oh," like I had, and then just like standing up there with everyone next to each other, like it's just like it was very exciting, and hearing the national anthem play. So it was, yeah, it's you can't really beat these moments, honestly.
That's fair enough. Yeah, as the anchor, I think you're deserving of a little slack there. It's like you're not paying attention to times or like when like I think it's like you won. Great.
Yeah,
And then I think it's the next night is the final of the women's medley relay, which to me was like one of the most gratifying events to watch as a fan because we thought the USA women were gonna win, but Reagan just left no doubt from the get go. Like it was an exceedingly dominant performance from the whole team, and I feel like every leg just added more and more to that exclamation point on the meet.
yeah, definitely. I mean, like you said, like Reagan started it off so strong, and then Lily kept it, and then Gretchen also I think had one of the fastest splits, if not the fastest in the 100 fly ever in that relay. So like going into it, I was like, I would have to screw up this relay so bad to not win. Like I was like, I just have to have a safe start and just like swim my race, and that's like exactly what I did. Honestly, they took like all the pressure off of me, especially when I saw like I had like body lengths like plural as like a lead. So my job was definitely the easiest out of theirs, I think, just because they like set me up so well. So yeah, I just knew like I had to just swim my race and then not do anything stupid basically during that one.
Don't go over into anyone's lane to celebrate once you're done swimming, right? uh yeah, you were 52.4 on that anchor, which again is like before that meet was like your fastest split
Mhm.
by a lot. So just it's very impressive the body of work you were able to put together over the course of 9 days. Have you been able to reflect at all on just your overall performance? 5 medals, 3 golds, a
Yeah.
crap ton of best times.
Yeah. I mean, a little bit. I'm gonna have my meeting soon, probably next week, with like Greg, just like recapping the meet and also like what worked and everything, so that we can continue doing this in the future. But honestly, I feel like my life has been like so fast since that's happened. Like going on like vacation and seeing everything, and then like home was like a blur. I had to do a bunch of stuff when I got there, and then like moving in here, like I haven't really had that much time to process everything. I think I've kind of like put it on the back burner, but it's not like something that I'm dreading. Like I'm looking forward to unpacking it later with Greg.
Yeah, and then just in terms of getting back to Stanford, getting back to swimming, competing for the college team, um, and being a student athlete again, what are you looking forward to about that experience? Are you is this your junior? This is it.
Or academically a junior. So
Mhm. But this is your second season competing for Stanford.
my third season.
Okay, okay, got it. Um, so yeah, how are you feeling about returning to being a student athlete?
I'm super excited just because even though last year, like I said, was like really fun and nice, it's gonna be awesome to just be fully immersed into the team again because I'm gonna be like fully on the same training schedule as them. Whereas before, like sometimes they would be tapering for like NCs or like Pac-12s or like resting, or I don't know. Everyone was kind of like doing something a little bit different for those big meets, but I would still be like in the middle of like harder training sometimes, or like I would be away at a meet and I would like miss the weekend and they would like all be together, and it's finally like I'm finally gonna get to be like fully with the team. And so I'm like super excited for that. And also I think short course will be fun again. We've been doing a lot of long course lately, just preseason, but I'm excited to start training more short course just because it's kind of like a fun little thing to like mix up practice. Since I was doing a lot of long course last year. Um, and then also I'm just excited. I know it's not my senior year, but my class is going to be graduating this year, and I still kind of feel like I identify them. I don't think it's going to kick in that I'm not a senior until I see them doing all their like senior activities in the spring, and like graduating. So that's going to be really sad, but I'm just really excited to like celebrate their last year yeah, their last year here. So even though it makes me really sad also that they're going to be gone, but I'm also living with a lot of them this year in the suite. So we have a 6-man, and then it's Sam, Aurora, and Anna. So, and then me, and then a random person. But I'm really excited to just like be in the suite this year because I would go over there all the time last year, but then like I would always leave at night. So it's finally nice that I get to like stay there for the night. So I'm just looking forward to like all the things with the team this year.
Those things make a huge difference. I feel, yeah. Just being around your people, living with your people, like that's very exciting. Do you have an estimated date of when you will graduate from Stanford yet?
I'm like with the junior class, like
Okay.
I'll graduate like spring next year.
Gotcha. And will you pretty much stick to college meets this fall? Do you think you'll go to Short Course Worlds?
That's still 100% sure yet.
Mm.
But I think I'm mostly going to be sticking to college meets. Like, I don't think we're going to Winter Nationals because that's short.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be mostly college meets.
It makes sense. I've been thinking about that too, and I'm like, who is going to go to U.S. Open?
Yeah.
If like it's yards.
And club swimmers, I feel like, or maybe other college teams will go. I don't really know, but
yeah, I don't know either. I'm wondering if pros will, or if they'll still be like, no, I don't want to race yet. I'm anxious to see, but anyway. Well, Torri, congrats on your summer, and congrats on getting back into the swing of things this fall at Stanford. Thanks so much for taking the time to sit down and chat. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
You've been listening to the Swim Swam podcast. Stay tuned for new episodes every week. You can take Swim Swam podcast on the go by subscribing on your favorite podcast platform. Look for links in the description below, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos as well.